In 1937, the Phillips Packing Company dominated the small city of Cambridge on Maryland's eastern shore. It was founded in 1902 with one plant and went on to become the preeminent employer in Dorchester County. The company ended up with the largest fruit cannery in the United States, and Cambridge was nicknamed Tomato Capital of the World. During World War I, Phillips was the chief supplier of individual canned and pre-cooked meals in the country. The company also provisioned Admiral Richard Byrd's Antarctic colonization expeditions in the 30s. More than 2,000 people worked for Phillips, and nearly every business in Cambridge relied for its prosperity on the income of those workers. Plus, thousands of farmers depended on the company to buy their produce. Phillips Packing was an economic powerhouse that developed a prosperous community for the black and white residents and drove the social fabric of life on the shore. On the morning of June 23, 1937, the tin workers in the can-producing plant shut everything down and placed their list of grievances before Company Vice President Theodore Phillips. When Phillips wouldn't assure them that their concerns would be addressed, the tin workers walked off the job. Word of the protest spread quickly to the other Phillips facilities. Later in the day, hundreds of workers and their supporters marched defiantly through town, tipping over company trucks and attacking city police with rocks. When a truck driver was hit with a rock, a black man named James McKnight was arrested for disorderly conduct. Nearly 1,000 predominantly white strikers converged on the jail to demand his release. Confronted with the possibility of further violence, Sheriff Roy Melvin let McKnight go. By the next day, as many as 2,000 Phillips employees had joined the picket line and presented a set of demands, including a 40 cents per hour minimum wage, an 8-hour workday, and the right to form a union. Leaders from both the American Federation of Labor and the Congress of Industrial Organizations quickly appeared in Cambridge to offer their assistance to the strikers. Anna Neary of the AFL spoke to a gathering of 1,500 in a field near a closed Phillips plant, urging the workers to sign up. The company president, Colonel Albanus Phillips, agreed to open negotiations with Neary in order to keep CIO organizers from taking over the situation. Neary and a committee of 7 workers met with Colonel Phillips, who offered a small 10% wage increase. That would have meant 22 cents an hour for women and 27.5 cents for men. At a mass meeting that evening, the proposal was voted down. On June 25th, a group of strikers was outside Phillips plant gate when a truck came out and swerved so that it struck and killed 35-year-old John Cephas, an occasional Phillips truck driver. Colonel Phillips, citing loss of life and destruction of property, announced that operations at all plants were indefinitely suspended. This left farmers with a $240,000 bean crop and nowhere to sell it. During the next few days, violence increased, with strikers stoning trucks and plant guards firing on strikers. On July 2nd, gunfire wounded a black worker named James Powell, who was then arrested. When police broke up the picket line, striker James Roberts suffered a 3-inch gash from a club, and there were more arrests. Later in the month, Albanus Phillips officially recognized the Cambridge Workers Association as the sole collective bargaining agency for the company's employees. In fact, it was a bogus union set up by plant supervisors and local merchants. The company reopened its gates and offered the original 10% raise to any workers who would return. Faced with an untenable situation, the strike leaders gave in, and their rebellion crumbled to dust. It was estimated that the walkout had cost the strikers, farmers, merchants, and residents around $750,000. Several strikers received prison sentences for assault and battery, including strike leader Frederick Jones, who had merely placed his hand on a police officer's shoulder to get his attention. Meanwhile, the truck driver who had struck and killed John Cephas had his charges dismissed. When ordered by the National Labor Relations Board, Phillips Packing disbanded the CWA, but it quickly created the Dorchester County Workers Association and made it difficult to prove in court that the union was a company entity. Phillips remained a major source of employment for black workers, who mostly were relegated to lower-paying, less desirable jobs than white employees. The strikers' defeat at the mighty hands of the company left key issues unresolved and foreshadowed the social disorder that would emerge in the wake of Phillips Packing's collapse 2 decades later. When the chief agent of Cambridge's stability disappeared, black and white workers no longer had the unity of employment, leading directly to the rise of civil unrest.